Hilarious, Groupon. Hilarious. Welcome back to another episode of Business Blaze. Danny has put us together a script. I'm going to read the script. It's all about the greatest April Fool's pranks that companies have ever pulled. This was actually a suggestion from me because I love April for the 1st. I love pulling pranks. I love reading about pranks that companies pull. It's just an endless stream of joy, and I'm sure that's what we're going to get today, so let's crack on. There's one warm and fuzzy day of the year when cold-hearted companies like to show off their human side. The very idea, of course, is complete nonsense. Corporate business is anything but human. These ruthless cutthroats are on a mission to squeeze every last cent from you by whatever means at their disposal. Alright, Danny, holy sh**. They're not really supposed to offer you a supporting shoulder to cry on when you're going through a tough time. They're meant to seize the opportunity to sell you something and that might make you feel a bit better. Looking for funeral caskets? You might want to also check out our microwave meals for one. Dude, Danny. Savage! Some companies believe that April Fool's Day is an annual opportunity to reveal that even mercenary swines could have humor too. Not everyone in the company, obviously, and certainly not those stiffs in upper management. Often, the idea of pulling a clever prank is often overseen by Scruffy Joe in marketing. I feel like I'll be friends with Scruffy Joe in marketing. It could be argued that April Fool's Day is a rare chance for companies to be refreshingly honest. A cynic might suggest that they spend the rest of the year taking customers for fools, but on one special day only, the customers are eventually allowed to be in on the joke. Danny, did you just get ripped off by a company or something? This f***ing savage. And of course, there's more to the idea than just having a laugh. Otherwise, they wouldn't bother. A genuinely funny... I feel like I could just say, how long does this go on for, Danny? And of course, there's more to the idea than just having a laugh, otherwise they wouldn't bother. A genuinely funny and well-executed April Fool's prank has the potential to go viral and generate a blaze of publicity without blowing much of the marketing budget. Not every company joins in the fun, though. A leaked internal memo from Microsoft in 2019 revealed that the tech giants were enforcing a strict ban on April Fool's jokes. Well, that's a bit of a bummer, isn't it? Marketing chief Chris Capocella was clearly wearing his killjoy hat when he ordered employees to stand down from any wacky schemes that they had been planning. Chris, you sound terrible to work for. The memo warns that data tells us that these stunts have limited positive impacts and can actually result in unwanted news cycles. I believe we have more to lose than to gain by attempting to be funny on this one day. What you do have to lose there, Chris, is, your employee's sense of joy. You get the impression that he wasn't very popular at school. Yeah, no kidding. He'd be like the kind of kid who snitches on you. It's true that some corporate pranks can backfire in unexpected ways, as we'll discover in a short while. But first, here's a look at some of the more cunning company capers from a long history of April Fool's hoaxes. The Taco Liberty Bell, I've heard of this one, which is just a testament to the fact that these things really do get a lot of publicity, because I've been to Taco Bell once. Oh yeah, apparently they do have it in Europe. The last time we briefly mentioned Taco Bell on Business Place, Simon made the mistake of suggesting that we don't have them in Europe. I did, prompting hundreds of comments from Europeans complaining that we do. Just not where I live. It's also unfortunate that we have them, because my experience of it in the US was fairly weak. Why not just get regular Mexican food that doesn't taste bad? Or just like mush. I don't think they were complaining about Simon's mistake. They were complaining that we have Taco Bells in Europe. Yeah, that's true. Just to be clear, Taco Bell is an American fast food chain serving Mexican-inspired cuisine around the whole world, including Europe, Russia, Dubai, Australia, the Dominican Republic, and Iraq. When it's like Iraq, surely, because there's one in Germany, because I looked it up on Google Maps, and they're in the UK. But there is one in Germany, but it's on like a US military base. So you can't just roll up and enjoy Taco Bell. It's just for soldiers. I feel like the one in Iraq, probably also. It's not like, yeah, Iraq, famous for its fast food scene. Maybe Iraq is. It's been a long time since there was a war that up. Although I'm still pretty sure that Iraq's pretty up, right? There's even one in my hometown of Rotherham in South Yorkshire in the UK, which is usually an indication that your company has hit the big time. Forget Times Square, forget near the Sydney Opera House or wherever these expensive locations are. Rotherham, which I've never heard of. Back in 1996, Taco Bell's idea of an April Fool prank seemed to be quite a daring move, as it seemed primarily designed to make lots of Americans very angry indeed. The fast food chain took out a full-page advertisement in 6 American newspapers, including the New York Times. The ad proudly revealed that the company company had just purchased the Liberty Bell, the iconic symbol of American independence, which was first commissioned in 1752 and had been on display in the Independence National Historic Park in Philadelphia since 1951. I'd never heard of the Liberty Bell until I watched How I Met Your Mother. Is that the show and he goes and he wants to kiss it or something? I didn't really know what it was, but now we know. Taco Bell claimed that it had bought one of America's greatest historical treasures to help reduce the country's national debt and hoped that other corporations would follow their lead by snapping up similarly cherished chunks of US heritage. And just as a note here, like when you're talking about a country's national debt and the idea that any company could do anything that could approach even making the smallest dent in that, it's absurd. Because the national debt is, hey Siri, what's the US national debt?
Yes.
What's the US national debt?
The national debt of the... Uh-oh. Lost the connection. Try that again. The national debt of the United States is the total debt or unpaid borrowed funds. Would you like to hear more?
No. Siri, I know what the national debt is. I wanted to know how much it was. Who cares? We're moving on. But it's not going to make a dent. It's really big. It's like trillions. And what did they buy it for? Even if they bought it for $1 billion, which is beyond absurd, what is that? Like a tenth of 1% of $1 trillion? Oh, and by the way, the bell would be rebranded under the new name, the Taco Liberty Bell, and would now divide its time between Philadelphia and Taco Bell headquarters in Irvine, California. As you might expect, this immediately whipped up a massive ding-dong as thousands of furious citizens began calling the National Park Service in Philadelphia, demanding to know what the hell they were playing at. This probably took the Park Service by complete surprise, as they usually only got the odd phone call from time to time asking if they were open on Sundays. Even the White House press secretary, Mike McCurry, it's like an Indian McDonald's meal, joined in on the joke. When asked for an official response, he claimed that the government was in the process of selling the Lincoln Memorial to the Mercury division of Ford Motor Company, and it would henceforth be known as the Lincoln Mercury Memorial. That's pretty good. I appreciate you, Mike McCurry. I'm sorry for making fun of your name. You seem like a bit of a legend. At noon, Taco Bell issued a press release confessing that the whole thing had been a hoax. The campaign was savaged by some critics, killjoys, in the press who complained that the campaign had been in poor taste and that a fast food chain shouldn't be using a sacred symbol of freedom to help promote its cheesy double-decker tacos and black bean Crunchwrap Supremes. Those sound pretty good. Also, chill the out, guys. And stop being so buttered over something that is clearly funny. Or maybe it's just I'm British and I don't have any like emotional attachment to some Freedom Bell. But it's kind of like, I don't know, if they were like, we sold Big Ben to like fucking pot noodle, I'd be like, it's pretty funny. I don't give a But despite the big risk of pissing off its customer base, Taco Bell did pretty well out of the campaign. It's estimated that the stunt generated about $25 million worth of free publicity for the chain, and the following week saw sales increase by over $500,000. Even the old cracked Liberty Bell didn't do too badly out of the deal. The company donated $50,000 to its upkeep. However, the founders of the PR agency that came up with the campaign now believe such a stunt would never be considered in today's so sensitive socio-political culture. Who does this offend? Can we stop being so sensitive? This was a great prank, and yeah, I'd welcome more things like that. Target some British icons. That'll be funny. Make fun of the Queen. We don't care. Welcome to Chicago. Sometimes simplicity is everything. I do feel the simplest pranks are often the best. This is one of my favorite ever examples of an April Fool's prank, even though there's not a lot to it. Back in 1992, executives at a US airport decided to create a massive 85-foot long yellow banner, which would act as an early warm-hearted greeting for in-flight passengers just about to touch down. The words, "Welcome to Chicago," were printed in 20-foot high red letters on a sign which was positioned on a racetrack. It was about 3 miles away from the destination airport. Nothing wrong with that, of course. Except the airport in question was in Los Angeles. So if you'd been napping or chatting or watching a film on a cramped tiny screen during the flight, you might well have spotted the sign and gone into panic mode, believing that you'd caught the wrong plane or the pilot had been using Apple Maps to get to a destination. We did a video about Apple Maps, I don't remember which one it was, so I'm not going to link to it below. And we basically just ripped the shit out of it for about 20 minutes because it's such a piece of shit. Don't sue me, Apple. It's another pretty risky hoax and possibly wasn't that well received by passengers who had just tried to get to that super important life-defining business meeting. Fortunately, no heart attacks or mad tantrums were reported, and in fact, the sign was left up for 2 days before being pulled down. In my book, it loses a few points for that. Agreed. It's still pretty epic, and grumpy passengers spotting the sign on April the 3rd would not only have kicked up a storm about finding themselves in the wrong city, they would later have to point out that the gag was completely illegitimate. Lego sucks. I'm not sure if I may have been the only child in the world who never owned a single brick of Lego when I was growing up. Whoa! Danny, yes, you probably were. No Legos? Did you grow up in like the USSR? Maybe it was my own complete lack of interest. I vaguely recall trying to build spaceships and things when I visited friends, but I usually just ended up accidentally constructing wonky flying tractors with blatant design flaws. You amateur. This maybe explains why I still struggle to do anything useful with my hands and can barely even open a milk carton without things getting very messy. But if I was a bit more in tune with Lego, I might have been taken in by some of the company's very recent product launches, which just happened to happen on April the 1st. The slightly unusual thing about the Lego product pranks is they often sound like such good ideas that the brick community ended up feeling a bit disappointed when the company was just toying with us. Yeah, this is like the opposite of the other one. It's like, yeah, it's a prank. It'd be like Netflix saying, yeah, we're now streaming in 8K. You'd be like, great, April Fool's joke. What? But that's just For example, Find My Brick was a revolutionary new app announced on April 1st, 2019, which was designed to quickly scan a mountain of Lego bricks and identify all the bricks of the specific color that you needed at the time. That sounds incredible, because, I don't know, as a kid, you'd often be like, yeah, I just need this one piece. You just whip out the app and it's like, there it is. That's pretty amazing. Also, you can imagine, like, there's some other people, you know, business people, they use the app and they're like, wow, this technology's, I can't wait for this technology. It's going to be incredible. We can use this to sort trash and save the world. And they go, yeah, it's just a prank, bro. It's like, you Lego. So you would point your phone at the pile of bricks, select the exact color that you were seeking, and then watch in amazement as your phone screen highlighted all of the Lego bricks of that same color. As I say, I'm no Lego expert, but I can't help but feeling it would be easier just to look at the pile of bricks in front of you, and that's all the app would be doing anyway, isn't it? Well, no! The app will be amazing, because you got this huge pile, and if you got to sort through it individually, we suck at this. But an app's just like, and it finds it. Amazing. It would be like, yeah, I could just search through Windows Explorer manually for the file I need, or I could use the search function. I was more impressed by the previous year's vacuum sort prank. This innovative high-tech gadget worked in a similar manner to traditional vacuum cleaner, except that it separated dust and dirt from Lego bricks. Not only that, the tool also promised to split up and sort bricks by color, so that all your bricks would be dispersed into handy color-sorted piles after a couple of minutes of intense vacuuming. Lego, you're just like, here's some technology that we mocked up but can't make. You customers would want this, right? Everyone's like, yes. Lego's like, it's just a prank, bro! Some Lego fans love the concept, although it also opens up a long-winded and ferocious debate about the risks of precious bricks getting damaged after they'd been through the vacuum sort a few times. Whoever complained about that, you've got too much time on your hands. It was an argument that didn't need to happen, as Lego revealed at noon that they were just playing around. But all I can really take from the enthusiasm that greeted these fake product launches is that Lego lovers seem to be inherently lazy people who can't be asked to sort, pick up, or even look at the mess on the floor they've just created. And yes, I do agree. It's also like saying you're lazy for having a dishwasher or a washing machine or a car. Because it's like, yeah, you should wash your dishes. You should wash your clothes by hand. You should walk everywhere. It's not laziness. It's like, I got better to do. Contra energy. Although the number of April Fool pranks pulled by big companies has unseasonably snowballed in recent years, thanks to the simplicity and wide reach of social media, they arguably had a far stronger effect in the pre-internet days when they were thinner on the ground and it was easier to hoodwink buffoons. Nowadays, most savvy web surfers will probably disregard almost everything they read on the morning of April the 1st. Back in 1955, it was a different story. American Popular Electronics ran an article in which they announced the imminent arrival of Contra energy. The magazine alleged that this technology was something that had been secretly developed during the Second World War, but had only now been declassified because of its potential for use by the general public. This sounds very exciting. Contrapolar energy was described as negative energy, which could be applied to any electrical device to cause it to produce the exact opposite effect of what it was originally intended to do. The article revealed examples of a light bulb potentially casting a blanket of darkness instead of producing light, or a hot plate that would cool down food instead of heating it up. That would be extremely cool. Can you imagine you just flick a light switch and you don't need curtains anymore. It just swallows all the light. I'm not sure where all this would end or how confusing it could become in a 1950s kitchen where the oven becomes the fridge, the freezer becomes the microwave, and the tumble dryer becomes a swimming pool. It's also a schizophrenic's nightmare because it's like the TV would be filming you. 1955 was maybe a simpler time with simpler folk. The article was actually presented with the subheading "In the spirit of the 1st of April," which practically screamed out right at the very beginning that this was an April Fool's gag. I feel like people were less skeptical back in the day though. But still, many people didn't get it, and thousands of interested readers spent the next 5 years writing letters to the magazine for more details. As late as 1959, Popular Electronics had to publish a statement which explained that the article had been a hoax and requested that the idiot readers stop pestering them. In 1963, 8 years after the article was published, they had to issue the statement again. Yeah, it's like the idea of a light bulb that can make it dark, I'll be like, that sounds awesome. But yeah, not real. YouTube gets sued by Groupon. Oh no, it's business daddy. In 2011, YouTube had a bit of fun on April Fool's Day by pretending to celebrate its centenary. This was one of those gags that was never really intended to fool anyone, well, unless you were really, really dim. It was more of a case of YouTube having a bit of a giggle by changing its logo to pretend that the platform was founded in 1911. I don't even remember this. Putting together a collection of spoof videos that allegedly went viral 100 years ago, and encouraging you to watch videos on the new silent and sepia-toned mode. Reminder of how YouTube videos were when it was first presented a century ago. It's pretty clever. Imagine watching business plays in silent and sepia-tone mode. It's like a silent movie. Anyway, this harmless gag was met with a cease and desist order from American e-commerce marketplace Groupon, one of many threatening letters sent out on that day and published online. The problem was that Groupon had just purchased the intellectual trademark for April Fool's Day. Oh, this is their own April Fool's Day prank, isn't it? Which would henceforth be known as Groupon Presents April Fool's Day TM. Hilarious. The claim, this is weak. The claim was that Groupon would somehow be giving consumers more choice and better options for April Fool's Day gags, but would be taking swift action against non-licensed pranks. It's not a really good prank where you're like, hey, yeah, we're really litigious. Hilarious, Groupon. Hilarious. The cease and desist letter sent to YouTube was pretty long-winded, pointing out in great detail how the video sharing platform's centenary celebrations were clearly jocular and infringed Groupon's new patent. The letter helpfully pointed out that nearly all technology necessary for YouTube.com or any other video website to function, including the internet, computers, speakers, and video sharing software, were invented far after the purported advent of YouTube.com. So you're kind of having your own April Fool's Day while ruining everyone else's. Thanks, Groupon. Thankfully, the matter was resolved without further legal hassle when it transpired that Groupon were just playing an April Fool's prank of their own, and everyone was in on the joke. Groupon had in fact bought the intellectual trademark to Valentine's Day, which I'm pretty sure they definitely didn't. But I don't understand. Like, hey, we sent you a cease and desist letter. Not funny, Groupon. Now you're paying my legal fees, you asshole. Google, drop the mic. I've got cease and desist letters. Those things are not fun. Finally, here's an example of how to get an April Fool's Day gag despicably wrong. Yeah, be Groupon. In 2016, Google added a mic drop option to Gmail, which allowed you to quickly vacate a boring group email conversation by sending everyone involved an animated GIF of a minion dropping a microphone and walking away. I'm sure most of us have been involved in those tediously long email threads in which the original point has long been sorted out. Oh my god, yes! And you're still receiving constant email notifications from others in the group who are rambling on about something completely irrelevant. It's like, for f***'s sake, stop. Please loop me out. How do I leave? The new Gmail mic drop option allowed you to deliver a light-hearted notification to everyone in the conversation that you are now bored silly and you are out of there. As the minion disdainfully drops the mic and walks away, Gmail removed you from this conversation and blocked any further notifications from this tedious email thread. This actually sounds amazing. I want this. It was a bit of a weird choice for an April Fool's Day joke really, as nobody is actually getting fooled here. It's actually quite a useful and funny option in some ways, and would probably have been used frequently by the type of people who decide to leave Facebook but can't just leave Facebook without informing everybody on Facebook that they're leaving Facebook. Oh, thanks, Danny. Now I seem like a dick again. The main problem was the positioning of the new mic drop button. In their infinite wisdom, Google decided to put it in exactly the same place that the popular Send an Archive button would normally be found. The option which allows you to politely wrap up a conversation and file away the thread in your archive folder. Yeah, this seems like a tactical error. I mean, an amazing idea. Well done, business daddy. This naturally led to hundreds of complaints from people, idiots, who instinctively pressed the new button after composing their email and then discovered that they'd sent an animated GIF gift of a casually dismissed minion to their business colleagues, bosses, and bereaved family members who were just asking for help with the funeral arrangements. Or getting a meal for one. One professional writer even claimed that he'd lost his job after inadvertently attaching the mic-dropping minion to his first draft and dispatching it to his editor, who assumed he was implying that he wasn't remotely interested in hearing her input. Honestly, if your editor fired you for that, and they didn't forgive you once they found out it was a prank, your editor's a dick. Just to make matters even worse, a glitch in the system meant that the minion was often dispatched without the user even pressing the button. Oh. Google quickly withdrew the feature after getting flooded with complaints, and it had already disappeared by the time America started waking up to check its emails. The company apologized profusely for the fiasco and admitted that it felt as if they'd pranked themselves this year. The apology was brimming with regret as Google lamented that they'd really let down and disappointed their users. Bless them, just for a moment, they almost sounded a bit human. And they are. Of course they're human, they're amazing. Oh, Danny, you're an absolute savage, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Business Blaze. If you did, smash that like button below. If you didn't, smash that dislike button below. Subscribe, notification bell. Shill, and I'll see you next time. Although I'm still pretty sure that Iraq's pretty f***ed up, right?